Hey everyone, if you have a teenager, what do you say is your number one thing that you're like, oh my golly? Keep saying it, because how many of you instantly said this? Oh my golly, their attitude. Gosh, what is the deal? Yeah, most parents that I talk to and that talk to me, that is probably the number one thing that they say. What is the deal with their attitude? Maybe one day they're like perfectly fine, no big deal, and then the next minute they're like flying off the handle and just freaking out, right? So hey, if that's not your number one attitude or your number one thing, put in the chat, what is your number one frustration, thing that just maybe just ticks you off the most with your teen? All right, because I can make that into a future video. But if it is one of the number one things, and maybe it's not your number one, okay, but you know what, keep watching, because there is more to come on this. Our title today is just that, what's up with the attitude? So before I even get into the teen attitude, some of you might be thinking, well, hey, let's just get to it, okay? Because, hey, that's what I'm going to do. First of all, I am going to just get to it, because I think, you know what, hey, why waste the time? But before I get into the teen attitude, I do want to say, what's maybe even up with your attitude as the parent? And I say that because I had to check my own attitude when I was raising my super fantastic, perfect teenagers. Yeah, right, huh? You're like, what? Yeah, sure, real perfect. Hey, and I'm not saying every teenager is perfect for real, and I'm not saying every teenager is just a jerk and you can't stand them. I'm not saying that. But there are things that come up from time to time and day to day, moment to moment, even second to second, that we have to deal with. And one of those issues is, oh my golly, that stinking attitude. So here's what happened for me. I had to check myself, because really, truly, God showed me, hey, you know what, Shauna, I got to tell you, you're all about your daughter and her crappy attitude. What about your own crappy attitude? And of course, you're like, what? What are you talking about? Hey, I'm the parent here. I can have a bad attitude, because I wouldn't have this bad attitude if they didn't have a bad attitude. So when really, in turn, that needs to kind of be the other way around, okay? Yes, you are the parent, and yeah, I was the parent. But I had a really hard check there that had to, change in me, because the way I was behaving and the way my attitude was actually even reflecting onto my daughter. So if your attitude is here, your teens tends to be where yours is. All right. So if you're in a conversation and you come in already with the bad attitude, your teen comes right along with you. And then from there, their bad attitude doesn't just stay right there, it climbs. And then everybody's like climbing, and it's almost like where you're trying to it almost becomes like, and not because you're thinking, well, who can have the worst attitude? But that's what's happening, but that's not what you're thinking is happening. So your teen will just climb in what the emotion that you have. And if your attitude has been just that for so long, when you get into conversations, and maybe you've changed it, your teen's still going to be reacting that way, because they are so used to you having this attitude, where you're just maybe constantly, and I won't even say constantly, but maybe you're angry easily. You are condemning. You really don't have a lot of nice things to say, because hey, they're on your nerves, and maybe they've done some things that deserve that. All right, but do you need to stay in that? All right, because we probably don't need to stay there. We truly lead by example still. Believe it or not, you know what, your teen is watching, and believe it or not, your teen will probably more than likely become like you. So if there's things that you don't like about your attitude, think about some of those things, like what is it that maybe is a trigger, okay? Just in yourself, what is it that, wow, you know what, I might need to change this. I might need to change the way I just get angry very easily. I might need to change that I'm so maybe controlling, over my teenager of things. Hey, and I'm not saying don't discipline. Absolutely. Please do discipline your teenager, because there's nothing worse than, right, you go to the store and you see a teen and they are so just mad and angry because you're not giving them what they want. And really, probably a lot of people don't go to the store anymore. But so then this is in your home, right? You're seeing this in your house because you're on Amazon and they want you to buy them something and you said no, and now they're freaking out and they're just mad and angry because their attitude just gets like, well, you never buy me anything. You don't ever do anything for me. Yeah, okay. And we know you do, definitely. So yes, by all means, discipline that super fantastic angel of yours, okay? Now, that was just a little brief thing for you as the parent, okay, to just kind of check yourself first. Now, when it comes to our lovely teen, oh man, sometimes, if you're having a problem with them right now, just even that very thought, you're like, oh my God, things are rolling through your head about what they've done and how they just make you mad and how they don't listen to you, right? Because they know everything, because their attitude is just so crappy. And now maybe you've gotten to the point to where you're just so tired of it, which, hey, it doesn't take long to get to that point, really. And really, we shouldn't. So here's one more thing, too, that I want you to think about. When they were little and cute, and like, oh my gosh, look at them. They're so adorable. And everything they did was so just cute, And maybe some of the things that you said to them that maybe made them mad and just pushed them a little bit because you thought, it was so cute to see them get so angry. They're just like so little, and then they get all sassy pants, and then you laugh about it because, hey, I do the same thing, okay? Because it is cute and it is funny, this little bitty person, and you say something that, not be that, and they get this attitude, or they get like, oh no, I'm not doing that, mama, and they're like 2. And then you laugh, and then you think, oh my gosh, that was so cute. But here's part of the problem on that. Yeah, it's cute, okay? And yeah, we all laugh. And yeah, we're like, oh my gosh, look at her. And then everybody in the room is trying the same thing, kind of just pushing them and seeing, what else they can do to get their attitude to be rolling. But is what we forget is when we don't discipline the attitude, they take that into their teen years. So they may have had this attitude all from a very early age. And now that they're teenagers, it's not so cute anymore. So what you once thought was, oh my golly, so adorable and fun and cute, and you laughed at, now you're like, oh my gosh, you need to cut this out because it's not so cute now. Is it? No, it is not. So think back, okay, did you correct it? And hey, if you didn't, you can today, okay? You can start today. It's not too late to start to correct some of the mistakes that you have done in the past, things that you should have done and you didn't, because an uncorrected attitude becomes disrespectful attitude. So that, I do have to say, us as parents, I had to take responsibility for what I did do and what I didn't do as well. And that's the same thing for you. We can't just sit there and just pin everything on our teenager in that respect, because sometimes they are a reflection of us. So that's something I just want you to think about, okay? So now when it comes to your teen attitude, your teen's attitude, okay? Are you the same as your teen, all right? Are you, instead of listening and hearing what they say, are you with an attitude and they're with the attitude, and everybody has this attitude? So, and I'm not necessarily saying that, okay, that you have a bad attitude. I'm not even saying that, but I'm just saying, hey, check yourself, okay? Because that is important. So your teen's bad, crappy attitude, other things that can reflect that, or other things that can push that, is, yes, their environment, home environment, okay? And here's, I gotta tell you, I don't know how you were as a teenager, but I can remember how I was. Let's see. I won't say what my family used to say about me, okay? Because I would have to probably beep a few words in here. But I do remember, and I was, hey, and I'm not saying they were wrong, because I was, all right? I'm gonna, true confessions, I was that, okay? So now if my family's gonna watch this, they're like, I knew it! I knew she was. And it's true, okay? I treated my family like crap and like dirt. But hey, I gotta tell you, if you were my friend, oh yeah, good as gold, right? Like, oh man, and that is how I was as a teenager. Friends, hey, didn't matter, you know, man, we were right there. But my family, no, nope. I was a snob. I was snooty, snotty, rude, mean, all of those things, truly. So if your teen is that way and then you see them like, oh my gosh, they're so nice to their friends. Why can't they be nice to me? Why is everything that they're doing like directed at me? And here's the thing, okay? Two things in this. When it comes to the family and to the friends, you know, it's a little separation. And sometimes it's because, you know, like, yeah, people just get on your nerves and that's how you are with your family. But, you know, yes, it's hormones and you know, can be that direction. But in the midst of that, yes, those hormones, it doesn't mean that you have to with hormones, you don't have to just be accepting of that. Like, well, it's their hormones and, you know, we just have to buck it up for about 5 more years because we just got to let them treat us the way they want because it's their hormones. And they'll eventually grow out of it. So everybody just around here, you just take it. No. You do not have to take it. All right. There are things that you can do. So in the midst of those, one, of course, being the hormones and with their bad attitude. And then that second one, yes, just because sometimes in the midst of the hormones, just things trigger you and you're just annoyed easily. And sometimes it is more annoying, more with the people who are closest to you. So yeah, there might be some friends that are annoying to them, but they don't live with those people. So yes, they may be in school and see them for 8 hours and then hang out with some of them, be online and those things with them, with their social media, but they still don't live with them. That is not the same thing because being online and being with social media, there's a separation in there as compared to, you know, like you're not living in the same place with them. They may be consumed by that and addicted to that, but it's still not the same thing as living with someone. So those two things, okay, that can affect in their bad attitude. And yes, in the midst of their social media and their friend group, sometimes, hey, right, bad company corrupts good character. So some of the people that they might be hanging with are just that. Not someone they should be with and be spending time with, whether it's in real life or whether it just be connected to on a social media platform. So those are two things that your teen can be connected to and where it can trigger into their bad attitude, which is even the same thing as, hey, if they have good friends, right, then they tend to be not as with a crappy attitude because the people they are around is the environment and they're positive and they're fun and they're having a good time, like a for real good time, not the woohoo good time, okay? And they're sneaking out and running around and doing drugs and doing stuff that, you know, like that is not a good time, all right? So there is a difference because what people say is a good time compared to other people, all right, that matters. So with the midst of this bad attitude, with your teen, so maybe something you're thinking, okay, well, all right, so hey, I already know all that stuff, you know, like, yeah, I know my teen is that and has that bad attitude, but what can I do? So one, you're going to check yourself, okay, all right, because you cannot change them, but you can change you. And I know you hear that all the time. I know, gotta change yourself, I can't change that. But hey, as much as we hear that, it is true, all right? As much as you would love to change your teen, it's still not, you still can't. All right. But you can change them in a sense because of the way you change yourself. All right. On how you handle things with them. So that is your number one thing. Okay. Is I got to check myself. So I've got to make some changes within myself. And then number two, in the midst of their bad attitude, okay, is really just taking some time, you know. Sometimes you might need to take your teen for a drive and just be like, wow, you know what, Johnny, man, I just got to tell you, you know, this is not working anymore. I don't know what the deal is that your attitude has changed so much, but it's constant. Especially if it's a constant thing, you might need to get your teen into some counseling. And that's not a bad thing, but you do need to seek out good counseling, all right? Because not every person that counsels teenagers especially, all right, and really just anybody, you really need to do some research on that. Don't just send them to anyone, because a counselor, professional counselor, psychologist, sometimes some of the things that they are doing and saying are very influential into the life of your teenager, all right? And I'm saying that because of experience that I have actually had with my daughter going to a professional. And that person was totally misleading my daughter, like saying things that were not even true within our family. So I was like, wow, okay. And she was a freshman or sophomore in college at that time. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to your next appointment, and I'm going to see what she's saying to you, because what information she's giving you is completely false. So pay attention to that, okay? When it's your teenager, you can tend to go and be there, connect a little bit more. When your child is in college, it makes it a little bit different, but she'd come home and she'd say these things. So I'm like, yeah, no, that is false. So needless to say, she stopped going to that professional. So do your research, seek out a person, okay, that is going to be a good fit for your teen. Also, I would say something else to do for your teen, if you need to, again, you might have to do professional counseling, but in your own self, go for a drive, take them, and really just be humble, okay? Do you hear how I'm speaking to you? Now, if I'm going to be talking to my teen, and hey, it doesn't mean that you don't have a right to be mad and angry and say like, what is the deal? Oh my gosh, Linda, you need to cut the crap. That's enough. Enough's enough. But sometimes when we talk to them like that all of the time, then they just block you out, okay? So then sometimes you need to be maybe taking them for a walk, go in the car, go for a drive, and say, all right, you know what? We're just going to turn the phone off. You're going to take the earbuds out, and we're just have a quick little conversation. But say it not in like, you're going to take those stinking earbuds out and you're going to listen to what I have to say. Okay? See the difference in there? See the difference, okay? So something you say is, gosh, okay, I'm not sure what's going on with things in your life, but hey, I want to be here for you to talk to. I want to be that person for you. I want to hear what's happening, because your attitude has just gotten so bad lately that, man, I don't even know who you are anymore. So what's going on? What's going on? And then you be quiet, and then you listen to what they have to say, because they're not just going to mainly just like, well, you know what? I'm so glad you asked, Mom. I'm so glad you said that, Dad, because these have really been some things that's been on my heart. So here's what I got to say. That's generally not going to happen, especially right after you've said that. They're probably going to pause. They're probably going to even say this. What's the famous words? I don't know. Nothing. What? No, I'm fine. Those are words. Let them have those words. Okay, let them say those things, because those are response words. So when they're asked, they're not expecting the conversation. So then they say those. Let them say their response words, whatever it is going to be. And then you still be quiet, okay? Because you let them get those words out and be okay in the silence. And after they speak that and say that, then that kind of opens them up a little bit, all right? You can touch them on the shoulder. You can just keep driving. You can just say, hey, because we do need to talk about this, son. We do need to talk about this, daughter. We do need to have a conversation. And I want to tell you, I'm sorry if I haven't been here for you for that before. But I do want to be that person, because you should want to be that person. All right. You should want to get maybe below the surface of what is the deal with the attitude. And sometimes, again, when it comes back to the hormones, yeah, sometimes that is like their number one thing in there. But it doesn't mean you have to just accept them treating everybody in the family like dirt. All right? You can say things like this. Hey, I know that you might be annoyed with us, but that doesn't mean you get to treat us like that. If you want your sister to treat you nicer, then please don't talk to your sister that way. All right? Hey, you don't get to talk to your brother like that. So you have to say the situation. When they have that and they say something, you need to call it out like bam on the spot. Not wait for a week, 10 days, even like never, okay? And then just say, hey, you shouldn't have done that. And then they're like, what, you mean this? You know, because it hasn't been corrected. So call it out, take care of it, say something, and be just prepared to handle the situation right away, all right? And of course, a reasonable manner. But the longer you don't discipline or just address situations with a bad attitude, they stay with the bad attitude because you're showing them that, one, it's okay, all right? And two, I'm going to tell you something, but I'm not going to follow through with it. So then what's it matter, right? Because, hey, your teen's testing you, okay? Your child is always testing you, and your teen is no different. So, hey, I've gotten away with a bad attitude for the last 6 months, so what does it matter now? I've had this bad attitude since I can remember, so what's the big deal that you suddenly don't like it now? So have conversations with your teen. If you want to write things out and say, hey, this is what I'd like to talk about, this is what I'd like to talk about, sometimes writing those things out helps you to even clear your own mind and your own frustrations and anger and even your own attitude, all right? Because it's way too hard to have an attitude in anger. Excuse me. It's way too hard to have a conversation in anger. Right? Right. All right. If you have a boss, do you like them talking to you that way? Do you like them being mad and then coming to you and then just like, no, you don't. So what makes you think your teen's any different? They're not. So think about how you want to talk to them and then do it. Okay. So here we go. 1, check yourself. Okay. 2, think about some of the things that maybe are really with your teenager. Is it hormones? Is it just because they're just so annoyed, just period? Think about those things. Also with your teen, what is it that you're going to do to help them with this attitude, okay? Are you going to sit down, have a talk with them, listen to them, or is it way past that part and point that they need some professional help? And whether it be counseling or actually even that it's so bad and beyond that they actually need to go somewhere, okay, to a place that they need to get away and get out of the home. Now that's super bad then, like you've done everything that you possibly can. Now that's a whole nother video and whole nother situation. So that's something to think about, okay? So those are some things that I'd like for you to think about, all right? Those are things that you can just be thinking. Okay, what do you want to do next? Think about that. You can put that in the chat. What is it that your teen has maybe done? Say some things that you would maybe want some other videos on to help with your teen. Because, hey, I would love to be that person to help you and guide you and to give you some ideas and some ways to deal with for today, like that attitude and some other just videos, okay? Because there are more to come, definitely. So I want to say, hey, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.